what's inside this giant box, Tidal Blades, how it plays, coming up.
Hi, it's Tarrant.
And Stella from Meeple University. Today we are excited to talk about Tidal Blades. Look at this box.
Heroes of the Reef.
Thank you.
That's the subtitle.
So we're going to start with overview of the game before we share you what we think of it.
Yes, Tidal Blades is a worker placement game, and there's all these central boards. They're all broken up into little sub-boards, and ultimately what we're trying to do, we're playing as warriors, and we're trying to prove ourselves the best in the reef. And to do that, we're going to be doing challenges in the arena. This here, which doubles as a dice tray, is the arena of our area. And so we'll be picking up these. I haven't shown all of the cards that will be face up at any given time because of space, but essentially we'll be gathering these challenge cards and then attempting to complete them by rolling the symbols that are shown on these dice. That's ultimately where most of your points are going to come down to. You can also fight against monsters who are challenging the reef, and it's done in a very similar way. It's trying to roll these symbols on dice. So how does it work? We've got fairly conventional worker placement with one small twist. So we've got all these little worker placement spaces. You'll put your disc on a space and move your mini to that location. That is blocked out for the rest of the round, but your mini stays here because there are some effects that will combo off where your mini is. And so it's important to know where you last took an action, effectively. But otherwise, you just place your disc. You get the bonus that's printed underneath where your disc goes. And then you do the action at the space you're at. And those two things are going to give you dice, shells, fruit, cards, all sorts of things. So you're always going to get a pretty good amount of resources coming in. And then to finish your turn, you attempt to do a challenge that matches the location that you're at.
It would have been on your hand?
Yes, so you'll reveal from your hand and then you'll roll dice and you'll try to resolve that effect. And then when you do, that's going to level up your character. So each time you put a symbol onto a challenge, you'll level up that symbol on your player board, which will give you additional bonuses and eventually additional points. The dice that you've got will ultimately, you've got active dice and spent dice, and you can also lose dice as you go through it. And I mean, that's really the guts of the game. You play it over 4 or 5 rounds, depending on whether you're playing a quick game or a longer game. You can level up your individual characters. So one of these dials will let you go through your individual character powers and take some of those. So you'll be leveling yourself up that way, and that adds some asymmetry to the game. You can level up spirit, which makes these cards more powerful. And then you can level up some powers that give you more dice back each round or let you roll more dice in the challenges. The dice themselves, so anytime you go into a challenge, you choose the dice you're going to roll. You roll them and the danger die, or the damage die, I think is what it's called. You pick out any symbols that will go onto your challenge, and if you get an X, you have to either spend a shell from your supply, or you lose a die. And then you just keep re-rolling, and you can re-roll as many times as you want until you're either out of dice because you've spent them all, or until you choose to stop, or until you've completed the challenge. You also get some consolation for the amount of shells. When you do spend a shell, you're putting it onto a shield. There's a little consolation there as well. Like every 4, you can just give up on rolling and just set the die to whatever you want. Something like that. You can level up your dice. So the middle dice they have every symbol on them. And then as you progress, you can become more specialized in certain symbols, which stacks the odds in your favor for completing certain challenges. You can go and fight the monsters, which works in a similar way, except you get more points, but you lose the dice that you use to fight them. And if monsters aren't defeated, they'll have negative effects for everyone who hasn't fought them. So that can be an interesting balance in the game as well.
So why are we doing all this? We missed that theme part. We are warriors. We are going everywhere. There are 3 battle arena where we complete challenges before we go off and fight the monsters. We're getting missions from the Citadel of Time, and we do it to pick up the quest, and then we go around to pick up resources, fight monsters, and so on. So I do like the theme because it's quite immersive. But sorry, back to you.
No, I think that covers the game. That is essentially how it plays. It's all about getting dice, getting an engine to get dice, getting shells to help you with the probability, and then powering through as many challenges or monsters as you can.
Yep. It's really got a really nice engine build. What I like about it, I know there are times where I'm afraid of dice, scared of dice almost, that because I don't think they're on my side. But not in this game, because when you roll, you can just keep re-rolling as long as you have the shell thing that you can put it there, and at the end, if you have 4 at the basic one, you can just discard that and then set 1 die face to whatever you want, which helps with the challenge. And that once you complete the challenge, you upgrade yourself and you're becoming better. So you kind of like you refresh more dice at the end of the turn, you can roll more dice, and so on. So I like that engine building part, or dice mitigation. I do like the theme as well in this game, as the warrior theme, and then it's very immersive because look at this book. It's a hardcover book, comes with a Kickstarter. We've got a deluxe edition, by the way. So it tells you the story of each heroes and location. And look at this, like it uses this location, the boat. Looks cute. I like the components. I think Tom and Dash Tower is this is like the 2nd and the 3rd game, top game with components of 2020.
Yeah, I personally have a personal preference for one central board rather than all these modular boards, but I know that some of them flip over, and the expansion adds a separate board. So there's a reason for it, and I can deal with that.
Yeah, it's just the first time it took me quite a while because we kind of like learn and play at the same time. I was like, what does this go? What does it go? But then there's like, there's manual, there's instruction. We tried to watch a video, I can't remember what it was, and it was like, oh, that was too fast! But then that's our fault as well anyway. So what do you think, Tarrant?
I think we've both to some extent compared this game to Lords of Waterdeep.
You stole my line.
Which I think is because it's a worker placement game where fundamentally most of your points are coming by going out, getting cards, taking them back, and completing the objective on it with resources and location and things like that. And I think it is a fair comparison. And I think when I think about a worker placement game like this, I think it's a right level of tightness for a medium level game, because you can always do the main action of a location you go to, but often you do really want the bonuses, like the extra shells that you need for mitigating your dice rolls, or the extra dice that come with some of the locations. And it becomes an interesting puzzle and something where you've got to really think, what do other players want? To be, I really need this bonus, but then I really need to get that bonus before I can do the challenge at that location. So do you go to a location and have a worse attempt at a challenge because you haven't gone and stocked up? Or do you go and do the thing you really want somewhere else? And I think that clicks together really well, and it's also really tight as the game goes on and you get more workers.
Yeah, it is still dice rolling. Some Euro gamers would be like, oh, dice. But as I say, it's not that hard to mitigate the dice roll, the dice lost, with, having enough shells
shells and getting the right sorts of dice.
That's correct. If you upgrade it, this is like a nice game trace dice tray. You can upgrade it with more certain, more probability on certain symbols, the wild symbols as well. And then certain monsters can only be fought by certain upgraded dice. It's very Euro game friendly if you're scared of dice.
I would agree with that. I think when you look at when you look at games that fundamentally are roll to resolve in most of the things that score you points, there's a really smart probability economy essentially in this game. You can mitigate, you can build up to certain things, and I haven't done the mathematics on it, but it does look like you've got a very good... You can trust your probabilities, essentially. You can build up to something and have a pretty good idea what's going to happen. But sometimes you're just going to roll badly, and the shells, you're going to have enough shells in storage to do that. Sometimes you can push your luck. I know the time we played, I pushed my luck on a 1 in 8 chance of it falling apart, and it fell apart.
It's kind of your fault.
I was taking the risk. I knew I was taking the risk.
Yeah.
But that's not going to appeal to everyone. And the fact that pretty much every player's turn is going to end with a little sort of dice rolling exercise, which will take a few rolls and moving shells around and thinking. I did find that bogged the game down a little bit because it's a very independent thing that people are doing there. It meant there was a bit more downtime than I would have liked. So those are the two things that are negative about what is still a very well designed dice mechanic.
I see. Which is like it's quite minority why, why you like it, you not like it. But we play with our friends. They also like it. They actually want to buy it. But he probably won't get the deluxe version, and he knows that he's probably going to get disappointed. Well, that's what happened with FOMO, right? Yeah. So yes, I enjoyed the building up your as you complete the challenge, because that's the main thing you do. The more challenge you complete, the better. And you build up your engine as well, your dial. So like this one, for example, you turn it up so that you can get to roll more dice. And this one there's a bonus card that you can use, and then that combo of this one, and then it gets better again. Character cards, as you increase your synergy, which is this symbol, you get more benefits for your characters. So the asymmetric character cards like this one, when you visit Citadel of Time or the Chronoseum, you gain 1 shell. So extra bonus or things like that. There's also bonus when you visit a location with other players. I mean, it is competitive in terms of work placement, but then it's not too competitive because you can still go to a location and complete the challenge and do the action as well, but not the bonus.
Yeah, there's a lot of pathways you can take.
Yeah.
The monsters, we haven't spoken in a lot of detail about the monsters as well, but they introduce an interesting element. There's a track up the top here, the champion board, where certain actions will move you up on here, and that's another way of getting delayed points, and then there's benefits for leading that and things. So yeah, it all pans out to be a very interesting game that way.
Yeah, for sure. So I'll definitely try it again. We have the expansion, but we haven't played it yet, so it adds another board and another resource.
Yep, that's the Angler's Cove expansion.
Mm-hmm. And can you bring me that box, please? So this is a big box with a lot of components.
It's a very big box. It doesn't fit on any conventional shelf, but it sits on top of our shelf.
On top of our shelf. And this is what I like. So maybe a little bit OCD, but this tells you how to stack the components in. So say there. I think a few others has got it, like wingspan or sights.
Yep. And you need it because there's lots of game trays, and it packs very tightly in there.
Yeah, very tightly. I don't think the expansion will fit. I don't know. I haven't even tried it yet.
I haven't checked.
Yeah, we got again, I said I've got the components beautiful, the dials are great, the minis are great, the dice tray is amazing. I think this is one of the most beautiful dice tray I've seen coming out of the board game itself, not like separately made. And this is the arena, the shape of arena. So it's like you fight in there, and then it's like people sitting in there. I just like trying to imagine it. That's cool. So cool.
One thing I would say about the comparison with Lords of Waterdeep is I don't think it's probably a lighter and less brutal action draft than Lords of Waterdeep, but I don't think I would start with this as a gateway because there's more overall things going on than there are in Lords of Waterdeep.
Complexity-wise,
yeah. So I think Lords of Waterdeep is still where you would go to teach someone worker placement.
And
more so than this.
Mission, what do you call it? That objective mission completion.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I think
or the fulfillment of her.
Yeah. But I think a lot of people, after they've learned that, will be better suited to something a little bit more that still has some challenge in the draft, but is a little bit more gentle, like this one.
So this game was Kickstarter, and Tim Eisner is one of my favorite designers. I met him as well at one of the conventions. It's really lovely. He designed games like The Green Masquerade and a few others. I can't think of any games on top of my head, but I enjoy his game. So that's another thing as well. If do you get attracted to if you recognize the designer? I think it's natural to you've played a few of the designer's designs, and then like, yep, oh, straight away I want to play that. So like this is one of them. And I think Druid City Games also good at making great components. And the storybook. So that's it. That's Tidal Blades Heroes of the Reef. Heroes of the Reef. I just know Tidal Blades. Should you play? You decide for yourself. And let us know as well what you think of this, if you have played it, or if you have any questions, write in the comment sections below. You would help us if you hit that like button. Hopefully you found this video somewhat useful. And if you haven't already subscribed to us, please subscribe to us. You can also hit the Meeple in the corner and hit the bell so you won't miss anything from us. I am on social media as well, like Instagram, so hopefully we'll see you there, we'll chat there. And that's it. Hopefully I'll see you in our next videos. Bye!
Bye.